Hare Krishna devotees. Today's shloka for the day is shloka number 4 of chapter 8. Adhibhutam ksharo bhavaha
Adhibhutam ksharo bhavaha
Purushascha-didhaivatam
Purushascha-dhidaivatam
Adhiyajnohamevatra
Adhiyajnohamevatra
Dehe dehabhritam vara.
Dehe dehabhritam vara.
Word for word meaning and translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Adhibhutam,
Adhibhutam,
the physical manifestation.
the physical manifestation.
Ksharaha,
Ksharaha,
constantly changing.
constantly changing.
Bhavaha,
Bhavaha,
nature.
nature.
Purushaha,
Purushaha,
the universal form,
the universal form,
including all the demigods,
including all the demigods,
like the sun and moon.
like the sun and moon.
Cha,
Cha,
and
and
Adhidaivatam,
Adhidaivatam,
called Adhidaiva.
called Adhidaiva.
Adhiyajnaha,
Adhiyajnaha,
the super soul.
the super soul.
Aham,
Aham,
I, Krishna.
I Krishna.
Eva,
Eva,
certainly.
certainly.
Atra,
Atra,
in this.
in this.
Dehe,
Dehe,
body.
body.
Dehabhritam,
Dehabhritam,
of the embodied.
of the embodied.
Vara,
Vara,
O best.
O best.
Translation, O best of the embodied beings.
O best of the embodied beings,
The physical nature,
the physical nature,
which is constantly changing,
which is constantly changing,
is called Adhibhuta,
the Adhibhuta,
the material manifestation.
the material manifestation,
The universal form of the Lord,
the universal form of the Lord,
which includes all the demigods,
which includes all the demigods,
like those of the sun and moon,
like those of the sun and moon,
is called Adhidaiva.
is called Adhidaiva.
And I, the Supreme Lord,
And I, the Supreme Lord,
represented as the super soul,
represented as the super soul,
in the heart of every embodied being,
in the heart of every embodied being,
am called Adhiyajna,
am called Adhiyajna,
the Lord of sacrifice.
the Lord of sacrifice.
So here in this particular shloka, the Lord has answered 3 more questions of Arjuna. If you consider that there are 7 questions, with the 6th question having part A and part B. So the Lord has answered 6 questions so far. So yesterday it was Brahman, then Adhyatma, and then Karma. Today it is Adhibhutam, Adhidaivam, Adhiyajna. So these 3 terms the Lord is defining in a very brief manner for Arjuna. So if you notice, the Lord is referring to Arjuna as the best of the embodied beings. So the Lord is telling Arjuna, you are very special. Dehe deha vritam vara. Among those who have accepted this body, Arjuna, you are the best. Then Adhibhuta. Our body undergoes 6 types of changes, which is we come into being, we grow for a little time, our body undergoes certain changes, we produce byproducts, and then our body undergoes degradation, and finally it is death. So this whole Adhibhuta This whole material manifestation and cosmos is going through these changes all the time. So it is created at a certain point and will be annihilated at a certain point. But then, although our body undergoes these 6 changes, our spiritual nature, the soul, does not undergo any change. It is always eternal. It is always Satchidananda. So the Lord has in the previous shloka said that Brahma is Akshara. Akshara, indestructible. Whereas Adhibhuta is Kshara. So the soul is indestructible. The body is destructible. So everything keeps changing in the body. Everything keeps changing in the material cosmos. But the soul remains indestructible. Adhidaivata. This is the conception of the universal form of the Lord, which includes all of the demigods and also includes all of their planetary systems. So this universal form of the Lord is not a real form. It is just for those who do not believe that the Lord has a form. It helps them focus on some aspect that is visible to them that they can imagine as the Supreme Lord. So it is not a real form. The universal form or the Virat Purusha is not a real form. It's a conception of the sum total of all the material cosmos as a single entity. So the word Purusha has many meanings. The traditional meaning of the word Purusha that we understand is anybody who enjoys. Parama Purusha, that is the Supreme Lord, he is the supreme enjoyer. We are also Purusha, or rather, we are trying to enjoy, although we are not Purusha, we are actually Prakriti. So that will become clear in the sentence here. The word Purusha is in Purushascha-dhidaivatam, can be used for many purposes. We can have Purusha avatar as Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and Kshirodakashai Vishnu, as Srila Prabhupada explains in one of the purports in chapter 7. Purusha can also refer to the Virat Purusha form of the Lord. Purusha can also refer to the conscious enjoyer, the principal person, as contrasted with Prakriti, who is unconscious. So Prakriti is meant to be enjoyed, and Purusha is the enjoyer. That is why when the Jivatma gets separated from the Lord, we actually are trying to dominate Prakriti. We are trying to enjoy Prakriti, although we ourselves are Prakriti. And that is the dichotomy. This gigantic universal form of the Lord called Adhidaivata is contemplated by the neophyte. Neophyte means somebody who's new, who cannot approach the Supreme Lord in his manifestation as Super Soul. So if you cannot think of the Lord within yourself as Adhiyajna, then you need something external to help you focus on the Lord. That external form is the Virat Purusha form of the Lord. The neophyte is advised to contemplate the universal form or a Virat Purusha, whose legs are considered the lower planets, whose eyes are considered the sun and the moon, and whose head is considered the upper planetary system. So this is Adhidaiva. So now coming to Adhiyajna. The Adhiyajna is the super soul or Paramatma. He's present in the body along with the individual soul. And this Adhiyajna is actually one of the plenary representations of the Supreme Lord. In that sense, non-different than the Supreme Lord. The super soul is called the Paramatma or Adhiyajna and is situated in the heart. The super soul, seated beside the individual soul, is the witness of the individual soul's activities and is the source of the soul's various types of consciousness. So different types of consciousness means different types of bodies you're occupying, and as per the wardrobe that you have, as per the outfit that you have decided to take on, as per that outfit, you will have the level of consciousness. So the super soul gives the individual soul an opportunity to act freely and simply witnesses all of the soul's activities. So here, what is the Lord doing in the shloka? He is identifying himself directly with all three. He is Adhibhuta, he is Adhidaiva, he is also Adhiyajna. But Adhibhuta refers to material nature, and material nature keeps changing. It undergoes all these changes, but ultimately that is Krishna's energy. Purushaschadi Daivatam, Virat Purusha is also him, but it's the conceptual representation of Lord Krishna. Adhiyajnohamevatra. So Adhiyajna is also Sri Krishna. Krishna is saying, I am directly Adhiyajna. So people may think Indra is also Adhiyajna, Shiva is also Adhiyajna. So many demigods accept our sacrifices, our yajnas. But Lord Krishna is the ultimate Lord of all sacrifices, because he is ultimately the one who is enjoying whatever it is that you're offering. Even if you may be offering it to the demigods, it's actually the Supreme Lord Krishna who accepts your offering. The demigods all are subordinate to Krishna. So here, the Lord has answered 6 questions, and the 7th question, the Lord will answer in the next 3 shlokas, directly answer it. And then the way in which you can think about, the different ways in which you can think about him at the time of death will be answered in the rest of the chapter. So one thing we have to remember is that as long as we are in the material cosmos, change is the only constant. There is always something that is changing around us. Ourselves, it is said in the Shastra that the minute I take this breath, my body is different. And the minute I release the breath and take another breath, again, my body is different. How is that? The body is different because cells are also dying and replenishing every single second. So this is constantly happening. So your body is never the same. From second to second, your body is changing. So although your body is constantly changing, there is one thing that never changes, and that is that the Supreme Lord Krishna always loves us. Even if we are disobedient, he still supplies us with everything that we need. So he's simply waiting for us. And how is he waiting for us? In our own hearts, we can experience him by the practice of Bhakti Yoga. This practice of Bhakti Yoga redirects our attention from Maya to the Supreme Lord Krishna, thus giving us the transcendental experiences of spiritual love. So these are the 3 terms that were covered today: Adhibhuta, Adhiyajna, and Adhidaiva.
If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell notification. If you'd like to join our classes every day, please check the details in the description section of this video. We look forward to serving you.